Hey guys, this is Fancy, and this is Murder by Design. I just love that little jam. I dance to it every single time. Hey guys, well, we're back again. So we are back. Of course, we will not be doing a Monday night crime of the month because we are going to start up again in December with that, the very beginning of December. So we're taking this week off, obviously for time for Thanksgiving and stuff. But today's tidbit is here and I'm going to talk about it. I know we have kind of been changing things up a little bit. We need to hear from you guys. So we're trying to figure out what exactly you all love hearing and what you don't love hearing. So if you like the tidbits, if you like our 5 at 4s, if you like our Colleen's This Day in True Crime, you need to let us know. Please drop a comment. Let us know which things you like a lot, what you want to see more of. If you have something that you'd like to see that you guys we haven't talked about before, you guys can totally tell us about that too. So, but today's tidbit, several months ago, we talked about the June 1995 disappearance of 27-year-old Jodi Huisentruit. And this is a case that I followed from the day it broke because I was in college at the time. I was kind of doing some criminal justice stuff at the time and thinking about, what I wanted to do with my life. And I was just thinking of going criminal justice and doing like homicide detective or narcotics detective. I was thinking about it, doing crime scene investigation. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I followed this case of Jodi Huisentruit from June 1995. And she was a pretty blonde, and she was an anchor at KIMT television in Mason City, Iowa. And on the morning that she went missing, she left her apartment to head to work, but she never made it. She vanished from the parking lot of her apartment building. And even though the case got nationwide news coverage, it wasn't solved. And 25 years later, Jodi Huisentruit still has not been found. Now, over the years, the case has been featured on Unsolved Mysteries and America's Most Wanted, which led hundreds of calls and tips for investigators to look into, but none of them led to finding her. And I've watched a couple of those specials. I also believe that there is some breaking news in the Jodi Huisentruit case, so we're going to be talking about that coming up. On Friday, CBS News reported on the possibility of a connection between Jodi Huisentruit's disappearance and the 1979 murder of a high school student whose murder was a cold case for almost 40 years. 18-year-old Michelle Martinko was murdered on December 19th, 1979, after attending an event for her church choir. This pretty blonde drove to the Westdale Mall in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, to look for a new coat. Authorities believe that after leaving the mall, she walked back to the parking lot and she got in her car. Her attacker was unable to get in as well. Michelle's body was found in the car with 29 stab wounds. Due to the amount of stab wounds and the brutal nature of the murder, it seemed like a very personal crime done by someone in a rage. Her friends and family believed that an ex-boyfriend of hers, Andy Seidel, had killed her, and they had dated for about 2 years. And after they broke up, it seemed that Andy was always around wanting to know Michelle's every move. But according to law enforcement, he was never a serious suspect in the case, and there was never any evidence linking him to her murder. The case eventually went cold, but in 2005, a cold case investigator was reviewing the files of the case and found unidentified blood. A DNA profile was put together, and it was determined that it was male DNA. The DNA profile was entered into CODIS, Combined DNA Index System, if you guys didn't know what it actually stood for, but there were absolutely no matches found. So Matt Denlinger of the Cedar Rapids Police Department was just a little boy when Michelle was murdered, and his dad, Detective Harvey Denlinger, was working the case at the time. In 2015, 36 years later, Matt, who is now a detective himself, took over the case. In 2018, he read about Joseph DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer, finally being caught with the help of genealogy, and he began connecting with genealogy companies to see if they could find a match to someone related to Michelle Martino's killer. Now, we have actually been talking with a couple of genetic genealogists. We actually interviewed one of them here on Murder by Design, David. Oh gosh, I can't think of his last name, but he's from Othram Industries, and they are doing some amazing stuff with DNA genetics and genealogy. It is crazy. They have been able to solve cases that are over 100 years old. Super, super great. So anyway, Detective Dinlinger started working with Parabon Nano Labs, a company that uses genetic tracing and has since become a big part in helping police solve cases using DNA. They were able to find a distant relative that had uploaded her DNA to a website to find her own family history. The woman was a second cousin once removed to Detective Dinlinger, and Parabon were able to narrow the search down to 3 brothers from Iowa, Ken, Don, and Jerry Burns. All 3 would have been young men in 1979. Dinlinger followed the 3 brothers until he was able to secure discarded items from each of them that would have DNA on them and sent them off to the crime lab. Ken and Don were not matched to the DNA found in Michelle Martinko's car and her dress, but Jerry Burns was a match. In December 2018, Burns was arrested, but he denied everything. Duh. His denial meant nothing because the DNA match was enough to convince a jury of his guilt. On February 24th, 2020, he was found guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Michelle Martinko. And on August 7th, 2020, Jerry Burns was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, here's where the possible connection to Jodi Huisentruit comes in. When Jerry Burns's computer was looked at by investigators, they found a search history that showed a big interest in the murder of the blonde woman and porn with blonde women. When Burns was being interviewed by Detective Dinlinger, he brought up Jodi Huisentruit for absolutely no apparent reason. And when the detective reminded him that they were talking about Michelle Martinko's murder that happened in 1979, Burns replied, "It was a big deal. I don't exactly remember what happened. Seen something about Jodi Huisentruit recently." Why would Burns bring up Jodi's name when being questioned about Michelle? When you look at the 2 cases, there are significant similarities. Both Michelle and Jodi were pretty young blonde women from Iowa. Both cases involved them going to their cars that were parked in parking lots. Is this all just coincidental? Or could Jerry Burns have something to do with Jodi Huisentruit's vanishing 25 years ago? Jerry Burns was born in 1953, and he killed Michelle Martinko when he was 25 years old. He was 42 at the time of Jodi's disappearance, and he is now 67 years old. So at 42, I mean, he's perfectly capable of being the killer. These type of killers, they can go years and years sometimes without doing anything. And we don't know that whether he was linked to anything else. He could have been, and they haven't solved it yet. So it's really interesting to think about this. But according to CBS, authorities have no evidence linking Burns to Huisentruit. But Mason City Police wouldn't disclose to them if they were looking at Burns as a suspect in her disappearance, which you know what we like to say. If they weren't looking into him being a suspect, wouldn't they have just said no? Of course, I will keep you posted on any updates. There are a few things I want to talk about, though. The advancement of investigation techniques using DNA has been phenomenal, and we think that DNA will continue to be a huge tool in not only helping to convict the guilty, but also to exonerate the innocent and wrongfully accused. We believe it will progress, getting better and better as time goes by and new advancements are made. We are already seeing things happen that were impossible not so long ago. We recently spoke with David Middleman, that's what his name is, that's what his last name is, who is the CEO of Othram Industries. Their slogan is Justice Through Genomics, and they are utilizing cutting-edge technology with things like touch DNA, hair with no roots, and very old bones to solve cases that go back as far as 100 years, like I said. So I think that there is some psychological stuff here that we can look into, like a pattern of, they should be looking at the pattern of behavior. Modus operandi comes into play here. What reason would he have to be obsessed with blonde women specifically? Was his mother blonde? Is he a possible serial killer? And how did he get away with murder for 40 years? Was he just hanging out doing nothing? Or do you guys think that he was possibly, really kind of becoming a serial killer, and maybe he was taking out a lot more women that are, probably just missing individuals? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in for this true crime tidbit. We are going to bring the tidbits back for sure. We'd like to hear from you on whether you like the 5 at 4s or the This Day in True Crime. I did add some of those to our playlist for that we just did for CrimeCon House Arrest 2020. That was amazing, guys. We had such a great time at that. If you guys ever get a chance to do CrimeCon, I totally suggest doing it. We were presenters at Podcast Row. It was a lot of fun. We got to meet a lot of great people. Cheryl McCollum did a wine and crime, which we are working with Cheryl right now to bring you guys a wine and crime. We're going to do a paid Facebook event. We might actually, try and incorporate doing it over here if we can. We're going to see what we can do, but we're going to put together a fundraiser, a wine and crime fundraiser with Cheryl, and we're going to break down a case and talk about it. And I'm super excited about doing it. So we're working on that. So be looking out for that. And as we come back from, the holidays in January, we'll be resuming the Good Wives Guide to True Crime. We are working with Todd Matthews right now, the former head of Name Us and the current owner of the Jane Doe Network. And we are working with him on a new podcast that it just came out and called Gone Cold with the Good Wives and Todd Matthews. You guys definitely should check all of that out. And if you want to find anything that we are doing, you can go to our website. You can even get our merchandise on there at Mad Ginger. Hold on, I'm sorry, typing it as I'm speaking. Oh, not Ginger. Ginger Entertainment.com. So we will also have a blog about this up there. And I'm going to put it up so you guys can see it. So the madgingerentertainment.com. You guys can go over there. You can read our blog. You can see both of our podcasts. And we're going to be adding a couple more podcasts, guys. So you're going to be looking out for that. You can see our YouTube channel on there and everything that we're doing. So you're definitely going to want to go over there. Folks, if there are any cases that you would like to see us cover, please send us an email at goodwivesdish@gmail.com. If you're interested, if you're in the industry and you're interested in coming on our show to, discuss your profession and a case, please drop us an email. If you guys like this, please share it out there in the world. We did just do a CrimeCon contest, and I'm going to go ahead and extend it to you guys today in case you guys didn't get into CrimeCon. You can be up to win a 30-minute private Q&A session with the Good Wives, where you can ask us anything you want. And all you have to do, and let me get the number here. No, it's not that one. It should be that one. Yes. Okay. All you have to do to enter to win to get the 30-minute session with us is you just need to text to us. So let me start over. To enter to win, to get the 30-minute session with us, all you have to do is share one of our posts out on social media. And then you can go ahead, take a picture of the fact that you shared it, text that picture along with your name and email address to 502-653-9528. And then you will be entered to win. Okay. What the heck is going on? Where am I? Did I click something? Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys. I get confused sometimes when I'm trying to do a billion things. Anyway, guys, so that was my little tidbit on Jodi Huisentruit and Michelle Martinko. I will be continuing to follow that case as we go. And don't forget, when we come back in on December for our crime of the month, we are working on Diane Downs. I am so excited. That is the very first case that I ever started following when I was in, a kid. I wasn't a kid, I was a teenager, but that was the very first case that got me interested in true crime. So you guys, if you want to talk to us about anything, you want to drop us a line, tell us a comment, let us know. And if you're over on iTunes listening to our podcast, give us a 5-star rating, take a screenshot of it, email it to goodwivesdish@gmail.com, and we might pick your name as part of it to win free coffee on us. Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in and serving up true crime with the Good Wives, serving up true crime one dish at a time. Bye.